Have you looked into guineas at all?
Uh, like guinea hogs?
No,
Oh,
guinea fowl.
the guinea fowl.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about American guinea hogs.
No.
So I won't say that I didn't think about it, but I heard that they're really loud and annoying, and that deterred me. Do you have them?
Yes, we had 40 to 50 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you like
Uh,
them?
it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
So, because you mentioned getting chickens for meat, that's what made me think of asking you if you had looked into the guineas at all. Because we actually ordered some guineas online, and then the company said, "Oh, wait, we don't have the guineas to send to you." So we canceled your order. So we went to our local store and we bought the same amount of guineas that we would have bought. And the main reason I got the guineas is because I have kids and we're in a wooded area and we're very rural and they eat ticks. They're really good at eating ticks and bugs. So I was like, oh, absolutely, yes. Everything I read said a lot of them will abscond and leave the homestead. So you want to order double what you think you might want. So I did that. Then they said, well, they're not coming. So we went and bought them from the local store. And then the order that wasn't supposed to come showed up too.
No.
So we ordered double what we thought we wanted, and then we bought double what we thought we wanted, and then we ended up with four times what we
Quadruple.
really wanted. So
That's classic.
yeah, yeah. Um, they sound like a broken teeter totter. It's what my daughter
Uh huh.
equates the noise to. It really doesn't bother me, the noise, to be honest. Um, but I will say, if you're looking for meat birds, and you're looking at cost, they are more expensive to buy than chicken. I think a chicken, depending, like now we hatch out our own chickens now. But like if you buy a chicken, they're anywhere between what, $3 to $6, depending on where you go. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
more, depending on the
Mm-hmm.
breed. Um, Guineas are about $7, right? But in my experience so far, because I've only had about a year with the guineas, we got the guineas. They're more fragile at the beginning, but once they're about 2 to 3 months old, you can pretty much set them loose and they free range. They don't destroy your garden. Ours have not absconded. Like, I was thinking, oh my goodness, we have so many of these things. I hope a couple leave.
Yeah.
Like, I hope, but we had so many. And like, they didn't get into my garden. I really didn't have to feed them much because they did great free ranging. They got all the bugs. Like, they were great. Um, and I didn't really look at them from a meat perspective until winter happened. And winter is where we had like the issue of, well, they're food aggressive, like with the chickens and the ducks and stuff like that, because they usually free range. So did some more research because I jumped in and got them before I really knew what
Go
I was
after my
doing.
heart. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. So I realized that a lot of people get them in spring and process them in the fall because you really don't have to feed them much spring through fall.
Oh, that's
And
genius.
exactly. So um, I realized why they were being so food aggressive because they are used to free ranging, and they were kind of being bullies on some of our chickens, so we had to process a lot of them. But when we processed them, they're supposed to be a lean game bird. Let me tell
No,
you,
they were.
these guineas had a nice happy layer of fat on them because they were stealing all the food from everybody else. But from the aspect of how much time and energy and food and everything we put into them for the meat we got was pretty good. It was
Nice.
really good. So like you can, once you get them to about 2.5, 3 months, you can just kind of let them go. You don't have to worry about them. As
Yeah.
long as you have like a place where they will come back to in the, every night. So we gave them a little bit of fresh food or treats or whatever. Like, I don't know if we do kitchen scraps and garden
Yeah.
scraps for our birds, but I
Mm-hmm.
do it at night at sunset so they'll come home.
Ah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, we did that. And as long as they come back, they'll come back, and you can process them in the fall. And for a cost analysis and even a taste analysis, like, I really prefer them over chickens, ducks, and turkeys.
Wow. That's impressive.
Like,
That is
do you,
awesome.
do you like dark meat chicken?
Yes. I
Okay,
love it.
yes.
Is
That's what
that
I
what
don't.
you're like?
Yes.
Oh, that is amazing. Okay, I'm like sold. There, I think we're definitely gonna try that this year.
Try a couple. Don't go overboard because if you don't
Okay.
like them, they do have a weird noise. They make this
Yeah.
this weird noise. But that's the other thing that sold me on them, because if you have predators, and I know in New Mexico you probably have more predators than we
Yes.
might. I mean, we have coyotes and stuff, but we got a Great Pyrenees dog as a flock protector, and then I knew I wanted free range, so that's the ticks and the bug thing, but the guineas help. They're kind of like a watchdog, right? So they make
Oh,
that crazy noise and protect the rest of your flock, which is one of
ah,
the other reasons we got them.
yes.
Um,
That is awesome.
it's great, but it can be annoying if it bothers
Yeah.
you. So don't
Yes.
go overboard. Get like 5 or 6,
Yeah. Yeah.
and see if you like them. But the added side benefit is the meat that we had, and just when we processed them, and then I put the carcasses in there, and I made such a great bone broth from a couple carcasses. It was so rich, and then I was able to save the meat off of the top or not the meat, the fat off the top of it to
Mm-hmm.
use for later and freeze. Like, I would say that's one of my top um, homesteading things I would recommend. Like, not the
Yeah.
first starting out, but
Mm-hmm.
they kind of take care of themselves 3 seasons out of the year if you have that many seasons.
Yeah. And then you
And
don't have all these birds you're trying to house in the winter and feed and make sure they're all,
yeah,
counting birds, going to the coop and making sure they're all there. Like that is so stressful in
yes,
the winter time. And
yes,
it's dark. You go out there with a flashlight,
yes,
5 o'clock.
it's stressful. It's so stressful in the winter. Um, have now you're in New Mexico. Have you guys gotten any snow this year?
Yes. So we
Oh, okay.
live in a mountainous area of New Mexico. We're
Okay.
at 7,000 feet. So
Oh, okay.
we get like at least probably 3 big snowstorms minimum. Usually it's more than that. Like the other day we got like 4 inches, and then the other night we got like 1 or 2 more. So we have snow every single winter
Okay.
where we are. In the southern areas of New Mexico, I think it's a lot more rare to get big snowstorms, but We're like right in the perfect area where it's high altitude and our garden zone is like 6A. So it's just,
Oh.
yeah, it's dry and it often warms up. Like that's one thing that I did not realize about where other people live, that it can be like 20 below for like weeks. That never happens here. It might get to, a few degrees below zero here for like a night, but it's never more than a few degrees, like maybe 10 degrees below zero. And that maybe happens once or twice a year. And then it'll be like 50 or 60 degrees some days when it's sunny during the day. So that's one thing that's definitely nice about being here. The weather is very nice most of the time. Even if it's snow outside. So it melts quickly too.
Yeah, that's crazy because I think New Mexico, and I think you're like in so much warmer climate than I am in Ohio, but we're actually 6B or a 7.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That blows my mind. Well, we're Southern Ohio. But that blows my mind that you're actually the same similar zone that we are.
Yes. That's so crazy, right? People usually think of New Mexico kind of being like California or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
a very short growing season.
Huh. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So have you done anything as far as like putting in fruit trees or like any kind of permaculture type stuff
So
on your property?
So the only thing we've done is my cousin had 3 peach trees that she started from seed.
Oh,
And
wow. That's amazing.
she grew them all winter or all summer and fall. And then she
Wow.
gave them to us. And my approach to trees, because my approach to trees is very like, if it lives kind of thing. Because when we were growing up, we had a couple of fruit trees in my parents' yard when we were kids, and they did not do well at all. I think they finally, after like 10 or 15 years, they finally just pulled it up because it was just not, it never produced anything. It was just there. And I'm sure that there are like tree growing experts who would say, oh, well, it's because you didn't do this and this and this. And it's like, well, okay, I guess that's it. And I think there was like a groundhog that was eating the roots and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I kind of have for my own sanity's sake, I have a really relaxed attitude about stuff like that because I'm like, I can't be too invested because if it fails, I need to just be okay with it. So we planted three peach trees in our front yard. And then I also bought some mulberry seeds online in 2020, which I haven't planted yet because I think I just for one thing, I'm not really sure where to plant them. For another thing, it's like there's so much planning involved because you have to make sure that if you plant something like that, you get enough cold hours. Like I could put it in the fridge, the whole paper towel, put it in the fridge, just to get you're simulating winter. Basically, I've thought about doing that, but I just haven't. And so that's kind of where I am. I'm kind of like tiptoeing carefully into the whole fruit growing thing. Well, except that last fall, like in the very beginning of fall, after the baby was like a month old and I was recovered from the C-section and all that.
Oh no,
yeah. It was before that. Actually, I think it was before the baby came. It was last spring. I bought some blueberry bushes that were just canes.
Blueberries are so hard. So hard.
You're telling me. It was horrible. They failed miserably. And I also tried some raspberries and they failed miserably. So I was like, I'm just going to stick to easy stuff from now on. So have you had failures with blueberries then? That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. I have every blueberry I've ever tried has failed. Every single one.
What's your soil?
Single one.
Is it acidic or alkaline or both? Or
I have no idea what I did wrong.
Yeah.
I've tried everything. I've tried doing a pH test of the soil. I've tried so many different types of varieties because I wanted blueberries so bad. But what I have
Mhm.
had really great results is black raspberries.
Oh, nice.
So those do grow native in our area, blackberries and black raspberries. I've had really good results with those. We had them in our old house, and they grow naturally on the property that we have now. But blueberries, I've killed them every time. They
Yeah.
die, no matter what I do.
That
I've
makes me
tried.
feel
Yeah, no, I saw a couple videos like if you start the canes in sand and let the roots grow. I bought them bare root. I bought them um, in a pot growing. Like it just, I don't think our climate's great for it. And
yeah.
it sounds like, I mean, this blows my mind, but you're in New Mexico, but you're actually so close to the zone that I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think that might be part of the problem. I
Mhm.
think they grow pretty well in like Florida and California. I know
Mhm.
California for sure. I'm not sure about Florida. I think different zones or different areas in Florida, but um, yeah, I've never had any luck with blueberries at all. But I have had a lot of luck with mulberries on accident.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So our old neighborhood, the neighborhood I was in that before the property I grew up on, birds would eat mulberry seeds and then they would them out and trees and weeds would grow. And so we actually ended up having just in our suburban neighborhood 6 mulberry trees in our backyard on accident. And they like grew into our fence. We actually had to cut a couple down, but we had so many mulberries. So if you are looking for a good, easy berry, I would say that one was probably the easiest thing to grow because we didn't even try to grow it and it just sprouted out of nowhere.
Okay. You know, the
So,
reason I chose mulberries was that so in Albuquerque, which is
huh?
like I think it's like zone 7A or 7B down there because
Or
it's
seven
lower.
egg.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Um, so I chose mulberries because I remember my grandparents having mulberry trees like just along their fence line down in
Hmm.
Albuquerque. And I thought, if I'm going to buy any kind of fruit bush or tree or whatever, it should be one that I know for sure has grown in a, it's a different zone, but it's at least it's New Mexico and it's only like an hour away from where we live. So that's why I bought that. So that's really good to know that they grow well,
Yeah.
like in a difficult, in the zone that you're in, and clearly they grew at my grandparents' house, so they were dealing with like the drought, and I think that they used to water those trees, but they didn't do anything else. They weren't really big gardeners, so
We didn't even water them. So before we moved, we were an hour and a half north of where we're at now. So we were 6B, 6A, like kind of on the line. Um, and we didn't do anything like at all. We didn't water them, like they just grew naturally. They started growing on the fence line because that's where the birds would sit, you know, and they just started growing everywhere. So, yeah, if you are looking at different trees, those grew super easily. I didn't do the core, I didn't do a garden, I didn't do anything. I didn't mulch them. Like they just started sprouting up and we didn't cut them down around
that's
the fence
awesome.
line. So, yeah, I love mulberries.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I have this one strip of fence line that I've been just
Hmm.
slowly adding dirt to and stuff. And I keep thinking like I don't know what I'm gonna plant there, but maybe that's what I'll do.
Our dirt was horrible. So, the area we were at in the suburban neighborhood was, I mean, it was they came in and they just kind of leveled the area, and there was so much gravel and just top filled dirt that, I mean, it was horrible, horrible dirt. And the fact that they grew there naturally, like, blew my mind that that's what they actually were.
Yeah.
Because it took me years to really get my gardens really going and get the humus content and just grow the nutrient content in the soil. So, like, those were growing for years. I didn't even realize what they were before I got back into gardening. And then when I did get back into gardening, I was like, oh my goodness, these have been here all along.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
those are pretty easy. If you have those, then definitely
So should
plant
I
them.
have planted them last fall? Or is it okay to plant them like in the spring? Or
Honestly, I'm not sure because I didn't plant them on purpose.
that's true. Yeah.
Um, so I would assume that it's probably okay to plant in fall or spring because that's usually when the birds are out there with their
Yeah.
dropping. And
Mhm.
in the fall or the spring is when I would see the sprouts.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm
Hmm.
not 100% sure on that one, but
Hmm.
uh,
Well, now I'm like really
look it up.
excited. 2 years later, I'm gonna have to plant those seeds I bought.
Yeah, if they don't sprout, let me know because I still have tons of friends in the neighborhood, and I could get tons of mulberries because,
Oh, that's so
like,
sweet. Thank
they're,
you.
I mean, so many of the people, like, don't even utilize them,
I
like
know, it's insane.
it blows my mind. It, like, kind of broke my heart to know that, like, our old house, we had planted plums and peaches. Let's see, what do we have? Plums, peaches, nectarines. And to know that, like, our old trees dropped so many fruit that the people didn't even utilize. Like, that was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, you know,
It's
but they grow like literally like weeds around here. So if you need some
that's
seeds, you
awesome.
let me know.
Yeah, thank you. On that subject of people not utilizing food, I just learned this past summer how to use prickly pear cactus to turn it into like jam and stuff because we have that everywhere around here.
Oh,
And
wow. That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's so cool and I think it's really good and it's not as hard as I thought. I had to burn off the spines, but
Uh-huh.
other than that, it was pretty easy. It's kind of like your run of the mill fruit processing. Like anybody who's processed any other kind of fruit can
Right.
easily get the hang of processing prickly pears. But then I would drive through like Albuquerque and see all these prickly pears just on the side of the road and obviously since it's New Mexico, it's used as like a landscape piece a lot. So like
Oh,
next to the freeway,
wow.
there will be, huge stands of prickly pears and all these berries falling off. And I'm just going, oh my goodness, look at all that food right there. But nobody knows. Even though we're all like from New Mexico, a lot of the people who are walking right by or driving right by are from here. We just don't have that mindset as a culture and it blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. See, now from where I'm from, we don't have access to prickly pear. So I've actually bought freeze dried prickly pear, for us
That's
because
amazing. You wanted it that badly? That's so
yeah, yeah.
cool.
I think, okay, so I'm a type 1 diabetic since I was seven
Okay.
years old. So I have a lot of health issues. I'm also a nurse. I don't work as a nurse anymore. My whole family, my dad's a doctor, my stepbrother is a doctor, my sister is a nurse, and like lots of family members in the medical field. So I'm so health conscious. Um, And so like we are what we eat, right? And I really take into consideration what we put in our bodies and what I put in my family's bodies. So like, yeah, no, I've bought the prickly pear freeze dried. I've grown bitter melon and bought it freeze dried. Like I just really focus on as much natural um, sources of vitamins and minerals and nutrients as I can possibly get, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, it's just amazing that you guys have that just kind of growing wild, kind of like we have mulberry growing wild, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's one of the things that I love about like the internet, that people can share and learn.
Yeah.
You know, you have
Yeah.
this, I have this, I can send you this. You can, you know what I mean? Like that's just, I
Absolutely.
think that's so awesome. That's so
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And
Yeah.
just
I feel like it's kind of like how it used to be, in the like 100 years ago or 150 years ago, people used to really share with each other, and different
yeah,
people in the community would have different skills, and they would just exchange things. And, you know,
yeah,
we weren't expected to do everything ourselves
right.
in history. Like throughout history, people always worked together, and it's really a new thing. It's like a brand new thing where we're all expecting ourselves to do everything. And I think that one thing that's great about social media, and like the fact that we can use the internet to talk with each other, is we can almost kind of, as homesteaders, resurrect that and share
Yeah,
with each, and like send each other stuff. Like I know somebody on Instagram who she's like such a skilled soap maker, and she makes all this like tallow butter and all this stuff. And like I haven't dipped into that area of homesteading yet, but I don't have to hurry up and try to, learn to make soap all of a sudden, like, because I can buy it from her, and we can exchange with each other and kind of resurrect that community mindset again.
absolutely. That, yes, 100%. That's one of the things I love so much about the building the community and being able to like, you know, the barter system, if you will. That's what they call it, you know. Just being able to share with people. Like, I don't even always expect something back. Like, if I have excess of something, if I have
Right.
extra seeds and I
Yeah.
can't use them all, like they're gonna go bad for so long. After so long, you
Yes.
know. I am
Yes.
so happy to just mail them off to anybody. And I
Mm-hmm.
met a really good friend about a year and a half ago on a seed exchange group. Never in a million years would I have thought this person, I'd meet a really good friend, but like doing some seed exchanges, I didn't even know that that existed, but like if something grows really well for me and I can help somebody else and something grows really well for them, that's just like such a cool idea. And I love it. And I think we have lost that
Oh yeah.
connection, that connection of community and helping one another. And, you know, I just think that's so important, especially in today's day and age where we're so disconnected because of the 6 foot this and the COVID that. And,
Yes.
you know, there's a way to do it safely. Um, and we can still help each other, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you just touched on something that I think about all the time. There's an element of letting go of
Hmm.
control,
Yeah.
because the thing is about the whole like social distancing, like I know all kinds of people who really need to do that for their health, and all kinds of people who don't want to do it and don't think anyone else should do it. And I feel like you know, we all have to do what's best for us and not judge each other based on what the decision is for each individual person. Like, you know, mask or no mask, I don't care. But I
Right.
think what's important is that, like, for me personally, I have to let go of certain outcomes and not think like, you know, if I don't social distance, I'm going to die. Or if I don't, whatever. Like, it's just, we have to let go. And this kind of like wraps up the whole like
Yeah.
minimalism thing too. Like, I have to be able to let go of these things that I think I might need. And you touched in the beginning of this conversation, you touched on the fact that we as homesteaders sometimes can get into the habit of thinking in a scarcity mindset, like, oh, I may not be able to get this. And that's true. And I fell into that trap over the fall because I heard from a friend that we might have like big shortages starting in December. So I just got like freaked out and I was like, okay, I cannot get rid of anything. And that really messed with me because I ended up
Yeah.
having so much clutter and so
Yeah.
much stuff that I hung on to. And I started hanging on to like, you know, plastic containers and just all kinds of little things that I thought, oh, I might not be able to get this. And we just have to be able to let go. And I often think about the pioneers. Like, they didn't have access to anything. They couldn't just order something. Like, they had to just make do. And it would do us really good if we just learned to make do too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We haven't had to
We
make do, right? And it's
right.
been bad for us to not have to make do. We've gotten way too comfortable with the easy access to everything.
Right. Yeah. We've got way too comfortable with being so detached from understanding where our food comes from. We've gotten so detached from being able to make do with what we have. We've gotten so used to, oh, I can click this button and order it, you know? And so many of us don't understand the time and energy that it goes into growing those products, you know? And the, I mean, you know, I can click a button and order my chives. I can click a button and order my basil. I can click a button and order my tomatoes. But cognitively, we don't think how many months and time and energy goes into growing that, right? And
Yes.
our kids don't think about that. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But teaching our kids the process and the time and energy it takes to get to the end result, I think is so important. That
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not just as easy as the click of a button, you know? And I think over the last 2 years, we've really realized how fragile our food system is
Yes.
and our supply chain is. I mean, not just food, medical, textiles, everything. It's kind of a scary thought if you realize, what if that was all gone one day?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
what would I do? What would I have? You know, and for me, homesteading gives me the security to know I think I could handle it,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. You know, I had a thought process during 2020 when we first started this that kind of went like, because it gets depressing
Yeah.
sometimes to think that like our whole world is changing. Our whole everything that we used to know and, you know, take comfort in
Mm-hmm.
is really shifting and changing. And one thought that I had that kind of kept me happy in the midst of seeing all that changes and thinking like, okay, things are getting better, and then they're not, and then they're better, and then they're not, and just like getting whiplash during this
Yeah.
whole last 2 years of thinking that, okay, cool, COVID is gone now. Nope, it's not gone now. There's a variant, and all these things are happening, and it's hard to, I mean, it's not harder than what other people have gone through in history. Like when, our great great grandparents went through the world wars and they had to, you know, see their loved ones go off to war and die. And, so many people have gone through
Yeah.
difficult things throughout history, but this is unprecedented for us and probably our parents' generation. So,
Yeah.
so it's not more difficult, but it's just a different kind of difficult, and it's a new kind of difficult for the people who are alive right now and experiencing it. And I think something that really kept me happy and like excited about each day when I first started this journey was the thought that, all kinds of things can change, but there will always be baby ducks in the spring. Flowers will grow and bloom, and it's not just the flowers that we plant. Like there are wildflowers. There is sunshine. There are clouds. There are birds. Like those will continue, no matter what humans are doing on the earth, right? And that's a
Yes.
wonderful thought. Like I
Yes.
would rather be part of that and observing that than getting down about what's happening in the culture at large.
Absolutely. I love that you say that because it is so hard to not focus on the stuff that's bringing us down.
Yes.
It's so hard. But you're right. Like nature goes on, and regardless of what we do, there are these beautiful things that blossom around us. And we actually need to focus on those kind of things when we're down, you know?
Yes.
I mean, we can help make things better and plant things and do things that help. But regardless of all of that, there is so much natural beauty and natural amazing things that go on around us that every day we just don't even take the time to look at,
Yeah. We totally take it for granted.
Yeah,
We even take our own bodies for granted. We just think like, oh, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to, start my day. But our bodies are amazing in and of themselves. Like, and my kids' little faces are amazing, and the thoughts they come up with are amazing. And so just like I have to consciously slow down because my mind is always going like a million miles per hour, and I always have something else I want to be doing. But everything is, I don't get up and like press a button on my kids so that they'll grow and they'll become creative. Like they just are, right?
Yes.
And it's really beneficial for me to just be too. Give myself the freedom to just be, because everything else around me just happens. Like I don't have to make it happen. So why would I have that mindset about myself? You know what I mean?
I love that. I love how you just said that. I don't have to think about just being.
Yeah.
I could just wake up and I just am. I just,
Right.
And you look at your kids and you don't have to think about that. And I learned so much more from my kids than I think they ever learned from me,
Oh, yeah.
And I think in this situation we are in the world, the mess we are in this world, learning to just live in the moment and learn from each other is something that we don't take the time to do.
Yeah.
Like I learn from my daughter every day how happy she is just being in the moment. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it's so true. So true.
She just loves seeing everything she sees and enjoying animals and the plants and everything that's just happening right now. And I'm sure your kids, you know, especially the older one, I know the other ones are kind of young. So,
Yeah. Well, our oldest just tonight, like we went to the store and we had to get to like chicken feed and stuff. And
yeah.
honestly, ever since I decluttered just so much random stuff and I started to look at the stuff that I was getting rid of, like I mentioned before, as like I'm getting rid of the negative energy that is associated with this item. It's not that I don't like it, you know. And so
Yeah.
after I did all of that, I felt like this new freedom to just enjoy because I felt like, okay, we're moving in a direction that's like kind of a new beginning. And so I was paying more attention to the cute and funny things that my son was doing and he could tell. And that's what's crazy is like we think that our kids don't notice when we're like down and stressed about stuff, but they totally do. And so he started just a snowball fight. He just started picking up snowballs and throwing them at my husband. And then I came out to get in the car and he was throwing them at me. And the three of us, my husband and me and our son, just started throwing snowballs at each other. And we were running around and being silly. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is because we were able to actually live in the moment because we're conscious about what's happening and we're responding to the funny, you know, behavior of our son. And you know, those are the kind of things I want to remember, not
Absolutely.
not all the other stuff, you know. I don't want to
Yeah.
think about 2020 and 2021 and 2022 like, oh, COVID. I want to think like, oh yeah, I remember when Gray started throwing snowballs at us. And yeah, those are good memories.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. That's what matters. And
Yeah.
knowing your son will have those memories, and that'll be like a pivotal point in his life. Thinking
Yes.
back, you know,
Oh
that's
yes.
amazing. And those are the kind of things we need to focus on with all of this other extra stuff that it's hard. It's hard. Like it's a difficult time right now.